Like there's always somebody. And then it shows a woman so freaking depressed if she doesn't have a partner and she's sitting at home, like Bridget Jones' Diary. I remember when I first watched that movie and I was like, man, I've had nights like that where I was just in the whole ice cream tub and just feeling so bad about myself because I didn't have a boyfriend, that would actually love on me, that would then make me feel loved. But what I actually have discovered over the years, and I really didn't discover this until I was in my 40s. I wish that I knew about this stuff in my 20s because I don't think I date some of the people that I had dated because I was so desperate for love and just to feel love. But now I understand that we have everything within us to have the feeling of love. We just have to cultivate it. And so we can cultivate it by telling ourselves, I love you. Like I literally will stand in front of the mirror, and you could do this as a married person or a single person, and look yourself in the eyes, because you do have to get comfortable with your own self and what you're actually seeing coming out from your soul. And if you're having a hard time looking at yourself in the eyes, it might point to some internal work that needs to get done. Because a lot of times, if we're uncomfortable looking at either our own eyes or someone else looking right at our eyes, it's because something is uncomfortable and something's broken that needs to just be, healed. But you can actually stand in front of the mirror and just say, like, I love you, Heather, or like Dr. Alex, I love you, Dr. Alex. You're so kick ass. Like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Look at that black hair. Look at that earrings. You're so hot. Like, you can totally talk to yourself.
I do.
And the more that like you do, that's the thing. You might not believe it at first, but like the more that you actually speak positivity over yourself, it will become something natural that you're hearing, and then you'll start to believe it. And it just feels amazing. And I even do this with my workouts, Dr. Alex. I'll be like, do my workout, right? And then it'll say like, go take a 60-second break or whatever. So I'll like walk around my room, and then I'll go up to the mirror and I'll be like, woohoo! And I'll like high five myself.
Yes.
No one else is around. Like, I don't want to wait for someone else to celebrate me. Like, I want to celebrate myself. So that's what everyone needs to do, whether you're married or not, is give yourself permission to just love yourself. And if you can look up, if you guys are Bible believers, if you look up Psalms 139, God talks about how he on purpose knit us together inside our mother's womb. And so every single thing about us, our eye color, our hair texture, how short, how tall, our body size, everything that is us is on purpose. So why would we want to complain about it or spit in the mirror about or talk bad about it? It's like you're spitting in God's face over his creation that he did on purpose. And God does not make mistakes. So as soon as we can own that and truly like, God made me like this on purpose. And if I do feel my sexuality trying to like bust out, that's God giving me the approval, like, girl, or boy, it's your time. Like, this is your time to really, truly discover who you really are, what turns you on, what gets you aroused, how you like to be touched and how you like to touch. I mean, it all goes together, but it does have to start with us inside.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I was just going to ask next, because my next kind of question was, how do you become more confident and comfortable in your body, but with your sexual desires? Like if those feelings start to come up, because I know, because I too was raised in the church girl, Catholic and all that.
Yes.
And
now, see, you guys
like,
are way more strict than born again Christians.
And I had so many family members who were like Pentecostal and just like we had everything. And I, as a young girl, like I did vacation Bible school at different, going different family members' churches. So feeling this out, feeling that out. And it's like, as soon as those feelings like start to come up, like it took me a very long time, to get through that. Cause I had always fought when I was younger, same thing, like had always felt those feelings, but then I was going back to like church and be like, no, girl, you can't think like that. You can't, And so definitely as a woman though, I've definitely grown out all of that. Like I love all of this. So start to come up, like
I love
I
you,
know a
Dr.
lot
Alex.
of women. Girl, you know what? I had went and got a photo shoot done not too long ago, but just a regular photo shoot, not a sexy photo shoot, not yet. But I went and got a regular one,
Mm.
and I remember the photographer. She commented to me. She's like, she was like, I can tell you love your body, like you love the way you look. And I was like, yes, girl, I do. Like, I
Yeah,
love all of the pieces and parts of me. And it felt so good for her, like to hear her say that, because I knew I felt that way, but for somebody else to
mm,
notice, that was like, wow,
yeah.
But then too, I kind of felt bad because I was like, how many other women don't say that
No.
about themselves or don't feel that way? And what a
Well,
shame.
and she probably sees that more every day.
Mhm.
People feeling very uncomfortable in their skin and,
Mhm.
wanting to hide themselves and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's probably what she noticed about you is that you stood out, in
Mm.
comparison to the other women that she
Mhm.
works with.
Yeah, so that was really great. But and working with women and their health and with what you do and what I do, it's all about bringing that inner woman up to the
Yeah.
surface and being okay with all of that. Yeah, because I talk about sexual health, you talk about sexual health, like it's such a huge part of who we are as women, and it can
Yes.
so much of like the whole world is
And
telling you don't.
men, by the
Yeah.
way,
Oh
men
yeah,
too.
amen.
Men
Yeah.
too. We
Yeah.
can't leave out the dudes.
Equal opportunity here, honey. We love everybody. We love everybody. So what are some so when working with women in the church, especially, I think this can be really applied to this next question I have, to kind of that, what are like some misconceptions about being sexy, feeling sexy, that people have, and how can they kind of work through that? Are there some common things you hear, like that when people start talking about sex or their sexuality, and what do you kind of tell them to get them out of that?
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about Rihanna. This just came up yesterday.
Yeah.
So she's on stage, she's doing her
Yeah.
thing and she's doing her thing while she's pregnant. And a lot
Mhm.
of the hater stuff that is coming out right now is from men that
Mhm.
are uncomfortable with the fact that she's on stage being sexy while she's pregnant. So that right there is one of the stigmas that has been around for a very long time, that women can be sexy, but as soon as you become a mom, or like if I'm the husband and you're my wife that's pregnant, now you got to take that sexy stuff off the table
Mhm.
because now you're a mom. So now you have to step into the role of just being a mom. And that is absolutely incorrect. That is false information that, again, society has put on women. And it's not cool. And so this shows up in society, this shows up in the church, it shows up in different cultures. Probably you've heard something from your grandparents, that might have said something like if you wore something like a skirt too short to school, or your dad maybe said like you can't wear that on a date, you're just asking for it. Like when did like dressing up sexy automatically mean I'm asking for it? Like why can't we as women show off our womanly curves and be super super comfortable with our sexiness and our sexuality without it meaning that you have to rip off my clothes? Like it doesn't
Mhm.
equal sex. But society
Mhm.
has put that on us, so of course now women have to be more careful and choosy about what we put on and what we wear because of some bad apples in the men. So that's unfortunate, but it really does again take some inner belief work, and you have to really uh, deprogram the subconscious belief systems that have been put over you as a man or a woman, that you
Mhm.
can't be a believer and sexual at the same time. You can.
Mhm.
God actually created it to go together, but because we grew up with it feeling like it had to be separate, it's a little bit harder for us to uh, grasp that you can actually do it together.
Mhm. Yeah, and going back to that Rihanna thing, like, she was like entirely, not that it matters, but like she was entirely covered up head to toe, like the entire with a coat on for for the show, and it's like, and she's still too sexy. Like, it's so it's so ridiculous. It's so absolutely ridiculous. I feel like that's like the most beautiful time, like one of the most beautiful
Yeah,
times when
yeah,
when you're pregnant, and it's just like it's such a shame. But yeah, I was like, you go ahead, you go do your outfit and dance and do what you want to do, because it really doesn't matter. It's just such a shame,
Well, it's
but
people like
yeah.
her and Lizzo and Beyonce, like,
Mhm,
so many powerful women that are on stages, whether they're musicians or even inspirational TED Talk speakers. I mean, there's a lot of women in the last, I don't know, 5, 10 years that are helping other women to give themselves permission to fully unleash their sexuality. And that's a huge
mhm,
part of my work too, because they see, the damage that can actually come,
mhm,
and brought into marriages, or brought into society where people feel so much shame. And when you feel
mhm,
shame, you can't even get comfortable with your body. Like, if you're like, I know one of your questions was going to be about like, how can you fully step in,
mhm,
well, it's going to be a lot more difficult if you're carrying around shame or guilt from a sexual experience, if you've been through
mhm,
abuse, if you've grown up in the church and these belief systems were put on you. So it's not going to happen overnight. Like, you have to do the internal deprogramming, the subconscious rewiring, like figure out a way to reprogram your transmitters, so that you
mhm,
can actually form new, more powerful belief systems. That's when the sense of freedom comes in.
mhm.
And that's when you can actually fully feel your sexuality, and then take action with your partner or by yourself, to, I don't know, to experiment, and just to have
Try
fun
it out.
with it.
You
Try
never
it out.
know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, take off the training wheels and, like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.